Hey, this is another Sea Spring podcast. And for this podcast, we're going to try to explain to the alien who has newly landed in Victoria what the LGBTQIA2S plus alphabet soup is all about. And I have somebody with me to help talk about it. So I myself identify as non-binary. So I feel like I'm not qualified because I'm only non-binary, but like apparently that qualifies me to talk about the soup. So I'm talking about the alphabet soup. And how about you?
Well, just to start, do we call it soup? Is
Maybe
that what
it's
it's
is that
called?
offensive to call it alphabet soup?
I mean, it makes sense. We can't get the acronym right. I mean, so
I tend to.
I have no idea. But back on topic, I guess introduce myself.
Yeah.
I'm Jesse. I identify as transgender, female to male, FTM, and I guess we're gonna tackle this because
Tackle the soup. We can't eat it. Yeah.
we can't even get the correct formation of the acronym right.
Yeah, maybe the first thing we should mention is like, by the way, even the people in the community disagree about the acronym being what it is. So,
Mm.
so when we explain it, there are going to be plenty of other explanations out there that are going to be different.
Well, I think what we need just in Victoria is we need Gen Z, we need the younger generation to tell
Mm.
us, what the acronym is, what they want to see, and then just always have the plus on it so we can expand it. But we need like a solid definition, and all of our government websites, especially within BC, none of them can keep it straight.
Yeah, straight, get
Yeah.
it? Because like I always see it just LGBTQ plus whenever I'm reading any government documents. Like they're just too lazy to tackle on the.
Well, I know, and then you feel bad because you're like, "Am I being offensive?" Even though you're a part of that community and you're like the least offensive person, you're like, is it too lazy just to say us queer folk? Like, can we
Oh,
just
but
use queer community?
no.
We can't?
Apparently, it's called the Q slur for
The cues?
for Gen Z. Queer is the Q slur, and they don't like it.
Oh, okay, so queer's out.
Yeah, apparently
Because recently queer was in because that kind of covered
I
everything,
know.
but no one told anybody
I
essentially
was
it's out.
I was happy saying I'm queer, but to the younger generation, apparently queer is offensive because it's too overshadowing, so it erases people's
Oh.
individual
Well, that makes
identities.
sense. I'm 27, so I'm quite old now, so I don't quite understand it all, but learning. But if that's what Gen Z says, then that's what Gen Z says.
Yeah, well, that's just, I mean, that was what TikTok told me, which is like,
TikTok. That's where we're learning everything. If you want to know about the queers, we can't call them queers anymore. But if you want to know, it's TikTok.
yeah, it must be true. It was on TikTok.
I can't be queer anymore.
Well,
Okay.
I mean,
Well, I need to talk to Gen Z. I need to have a meeting with Gen Z, and I need to ask them what I can be called.
yeah, we need a spokesperson for
I
Gen
don't
Z.
mind. I just want to get it right. Just a couple of things to write down to remember. I'm getting old, and
Yeah, I get it. So if we go through the alphabet soup, we've got, I guess the first one is so we're explaining this to someone who knows nothing about the gay culture. So L stands for lesbian, which would be defined as a woman who loves women. And do you want to go into the G?
yeah, and the G is gay, which is two men who are together in a romantic relationship, that kind of thing. Pretty self-explanatory.
Oh, and the B, we could both do the B.
Here's the thing with bisexual. Now, this is something we got to kind of tackle because Gen Z is not happy about this either.
Oh, yeah.
Bisexual has to be thrown out because bisexual is either you like girls or you like guys. It's very constrictive,
Yeah.
so it doesn't explore other gender like options. And I used to say I was bi all the time until I realized that was offensive when I really liked a very genderqueer person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't call myself bi because that just completely diminishes their entire existence.
Right.
So bi, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion in the community, has to go.
Yeah, and I've heard of the term pansexual.
Pansexual is what I identify as.
Yeah, which means like any gender, you're attracted to any gender.
So bi can go, and pansexual can be put in there, and some people might take offense at that, but I don't see any reason why.
And like P isn't in the alphabet soup, but it should
it's
be.
Not.
It should be like LGBT.
Well, we can't. This is the thing: is putting sexualities in the acronym. Like, should we call it the acronym? I don't know. Putting
It's an acronym.
yeah, putting like sexualities like asexual used to be in there, or might still be in there. But we can't because in pansexual, demisexual, there's so many sexualities. That we couldn't put them in there. Sexuality, like we could have a whole new acronym just for sexualities. But that's the thing is that like transgender should not be. Sorry, I can't.
You're putting your hands in front of your face for the microphone.
My bad, sorry. Flailing hands.
Flailing
hands.
Can't see it.
Yeah, so again, we can explain all these things, but there's a few things that are in the acronym that should be in there. Transgender should not be.
So the T is offensive also?
I find it offensive because why is transgender next to mostly sexualities? Gender and sexuality aren't the same, and that's really toxic towards.
We need to definitely make sure that the alien who doesn't understand gay culture understands that there's the difference between sexual orientation and sexual attraction.
Yeah.
So who you feel you are in your own body is totally separate to who you're attracted to. They're not related, and it totally gets confused all the time in the media.
And it does, and there's no education. It's like people aren't trying to even be offensive, but I'll have people, some nice old people, they don't quite understand it, and they don't mean to be offensive, but they'll come up to me, and after I came out as trans and stuff, and a few talked to me, and they all well intentions, but they said, oh well, if you're dating a man at the moment and you're female to male transgender, why would you transition? Why wouldn't you just stay a girl, as they air quote that? And it's, well, gender and sexuality are not the same thing. It's actually very easy to understand, but we are so far behind on like educating people, and people's just lack of will, like just to explore new things is bad.
Yeah, I find the older you get, the less open people are to learning new things in general, which scary. I'm almost 40, so that terrifies me. I'm going to be an old whippersnapper soon.
Yeah, but I think you're doing enough good work now that it's just like you're not going to fall into that sorry if it's offensive, but that boomer pit, where the education doesn't go farther than Fox News.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not a boomer.
No, you're not.
So that covers how we think of the T is. Now Q can be open for a lot of debate, because I've heard Q could stand for queer or questioning.
Yeah, like the Q got me a little confused, because again, now we're not even supposed to be saying queer.
Apparently.
And then if it's questioning, then wouldn't that just go at the very end with the plus? So again, maybe we don't have.
Traditionally, it was LGBTQ, and that was just the 4.
Oh, really?
And then it was LGBTQ plus, and then it was LGBTQ2S plus, and then it was LGBTQIA2S plus. So
what if we just start making one flag, no acronym, and we just start adding colors? There's so many colors, we'll never run out. And that's all. We'll just wave the flag. It's like, this is what just for all colors.
But also like that was what was attempted with Gen Z and the word queer, and bringing queer into the literature, was where they wanted one umbrella term that wouldn't be offensive, that would just mean everybody in the community, and that's offended people in the community by erasing individual identity.
Yeah.
And it goes this debate about, do you want to be labeled or not?
Well, I think actually, here's the thing, is like, I'm aware we all have to learn, and we're not quite there yet. And I'm always one to, jump 15 years ahead where we are currently at in human evolution. But I think it's quite ridiculous that we even have to have this acronym. I think it's ridiculous we have to have any of these titles at all. It's all, important. Everyone, everyone has to learn about this stuff. But I think, it's very strange that we still have to go around saying you're a lesbian, you're gay, you're trans. I think it's very weird that we still do that, and then it just separates everybody, and then we're all sitting here having long conversations about what the proper acronym is, and I'm like, we all gotta explore and learn about all of this stuff. It's important, but at the end of the day,
it's fluid. It can change throughout your lifetime too.
At the end of the day, all human beings, even the most conservative human beings, are fluid. It's just it's the way we are. We're constantly changing, even if most of us admit, or we'll sit there and deny it. So it kind of sucks that we have to keep adding all this stuff, and then we don't do it right. Again, trans should not be anywhere near sexualities. I don't know why that's in there. I don't know why it's never been addressed. And I think that's something I'm going to focus on, because now I'm hyper fixated on it. And it's like, shit.
Well, moving along.
Yeah, moving along. Sorry.
Yeah, moving along from the T. I feel not qualified to talk about the 2S because it's First Nations related, and all it is. Yeah, I can't speak on it, but it means two-spirited.
Yes, and it's very important.
Very important, and it needs to be brought to the foreground, I think.
Yeah, and I still don't know enough about it. I've been reading as much as I can, but there's only so much you can read, and I think it's more of a be taught in person kind of experience. Like, I think an Indigenous, especially like an Indigenous, like, maybe community leader or someone, who's spent their time, learning about that stuff, especially, it's not something you really read about and understand. You need to talk to somebody who's actually two-spirit, So I think, that'd be something we could bring into C-Spring, because I don't think
Totally.
we can't teach that part. And I don't
Right.
think we have the right to teach it.
No,
So
exactly.
I think,
I agree.
maybe we have.
I just know what it stands for, and it's Indigenous based. So
Yeah.
I am as white. I was born in England. I'm like the motherland. I'm as white as they come. So yeah, I definitely don't feel qualified to.
Oh, me either. I'm half Scottish and half German.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I have a little bit Indigenous in me, just a little bit from a distant great grandmother, but it's so far, I have no right.
Yeah.
So it's just.
And then we have the I and the A.
Well, the I stands for intersex, and intersex is something that a lot of people I don't know too much about. Intersex is where you can be born with both sex characteristics. Both organs.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the intersex condition is more and more people are not correcting the babies at birth now.
Yeah.
So we're getting a higher and higher percentage of the population being intersex now for the whole lifetime, rather than correcting the air quotes here defects at birth, and then having them transition because it wasn't correct or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. I've met multiple people who were born intersex, about 5 in my lifetime, and they all, had their parents make that choice of what their gender would be, and it's like nothing was done with like any ill intent, but a lot of them come out as trans because the wrong choice was made, and it's just the way it is, right? And a lot of people don't know about that though, and it's and
you find like high femme women who think they're just completely cis, and they go for an abdominal X-ray and they find undescended testes or something, and
high levels of testosterone too. It's like like I had,
so it's much more common, I think.
Well, it was something that the doctors explored later on in my life after because like I had obscenely high levels of testosterone, especially quite young, and it was just. Like a lot of it is, again, we got to focus with like the transgender intersex. There is science and medicine behind that. It's not just it's not just pure. It's not exactly like, there's a lot of facts and a lot of data behind it that isn't explored, which is a barrier to a lot of the older generation understanding, because they see it more as a spiritual thing, which is not bad. But the fact is there are some honest to God science and facts there, and it's never explored. So I think that's something that's important to just kind of add in, when we have that.
Yeah. And then finally, we've got the A. I mean, it shouldn't be finally. We've got the plus too, because we're always going to be changing it. But what do you think the A stands for? I heard it was asexual.
I heard it was asexual, and I heard asexual was removed because, again, you can't have asexual, but then not pansexual, but then not demisexual, and so on and so forth. But asexual was just like, I guess I threw it in there because asexual is you don't have. Essentially, like it's not even like 100%. You don't have sexual attraction to people.
Yeah, you could have very low sexual attraction and still be considered asexual.
Yeah, and to be open, I identify pretty much about 80% asexual. And it's a weird thing. It's
and the slang term is ace, like AC.
Ace,
like ace. Yeah.
Oh, they made a flag and everything. It's quite nice. I think it's
apparently I heard there's like a black ring you can wear, and that identifies you as ace to anyone who's out about in the community. Have you heard of that one with the black,
I haven't
black
heard
ring?
About that.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter what it's made of, but like a black band. And then
I hope there's markings on it, because that's been stuff for all those people trying to get lucky, and they're wearing black rings and thinking, oh, they're having a bad hair day.
My goth ring, yeah.
Yeah, someone should tell them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just something I came across.
But I think asexual is definitely getting dropped from the acronym, unless they are going to try and throw all the sexualities in there.
Right. If you're going to add the A, you might as well add the P. You might as well add,
everything else.
Everything. And then we're going to have like 10 letters. And not that that's a bad thing, but it's a complicated thing.
It's not. Sexuality is like all these sexualities. It's going to keep expanding as we evolve as humans.
Yeah.
And, like we're jumping into a whole different lifestyle of not being monogamous, multiple partners. We're in this whole new era, and it's like, it's going to keep changing. So what we could do now.
Ethical non-monogamy is going to be big in the future, I think.
Oh, it's the Netflix. All the shows, like every show now is like just like making sure they push it. So because they're realizing it's a lot healthier for the humans as a whole to not be in a one-on-one relationship where it's just a lot of it's
serial monogamy doesn't work.
It doesn't. A lot of divorce and a lot of murder she wrote get written off that crap. It's like everyone's got to be happy. But
sorry, we've got 10 seconds left, and I have to end because we're getting it to the 15-minute mark.
That's what happens when you get two people like us just sitting here gabbing away. So,
well, we're gonna maybe do a second one. So to be continued. Yeah. So this is our LGBTQIA2S plus explanation for our C-Spring. Thanks. Bye.